Okay, here we go. You have a date to homecoming. Okay, so today what we're going to do is composition of functions. So this is f of g of x. This is not fog of x. F of g of x. So that means I'm going to put the g function into the f function. All right? So that means the g function, whatever the domain is, if you use this function, you're going to get an answer, right? So the answer then is the range, correct? That range becomes the domain of your outside function. Okay, so the output becomes the domain. So this is how it works. For here, the g is the first function. It's the inside one. So I'm going to put parentheses around. And wherever I see an x, I'm going to substitute the parentheses. So I would get x squared minus 4 plus 7. So I get x squared plus 3. So when we're talking about the domain, what's the domain of a line? Are there any restrictions on that domain? No, it's all real numbers. Would there be a restriction on a parabola? The domain of every parabola every time is what? That's correct. So it's all real numbers. So there's no restrictions here. And when I did the composition, my answer ended up being a parabola, right? It's a parabola. In which way is it shifted? Up 3. So if it ends up being a parabola, is there any restrictions on a parabola for the domain? No. So this is all real numbers. So for the second one, so now the f is first, so I'm going to put parentheses around the f, and that goes in for the x. So when I write that, I get x plus 7 squared minus 4. So that means I have to multiply this out. So I'm going to have x plus 7 times x plus 7 minus 4. So when I multiply, that's the x times the x and the plus 7. And this way, and I still have the minus 4 at the end. So that's going to give me, when I combine these, I get 14x. And when I combine these, I get 45. So again, I get x squared plus 14x plus 45. And so any restrictions on a parabola? No. So you're going to get all reals. Okay, we're not going to do this one, but we are going to do this one. So I'm going to start with the f. I'm going to start with the f. So this is the f, right? So if I put parentheses around it, every time I see an x in the other function, I have to substitute. So I'm going to have 3 minus x over 3 minus x plus 1. You see? Does everybody see that? So when I simplify now, this is what I get. And so this is one of the times where there is going to be a restriction, because what can you not divide by? 0. So this can equal 0. So 4 minus x cannot equal 0. So 4 cannot equal x. So my domain is going to be x such that x does not equal 4. Everybody okay? I know I was trying here. Okay?
So the reason why we did equal to 0 is because when it's you can't divide by 0. So that would just like to prove that. That's what we reiterate on the domain.
Say that.
Sorry.
So the bottom can't be 0. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that's why we did the equal to 0, and then we reiterated it. The domain x can't.
Because it's a restriction, right? So I have to do this to show the restriction. Okay? Because it's on top. And it's okay to be 0 on top.
Okay, so just on the bottom.
Just on the bottom. We can't divide by 0. Good questions. Okay. Let's go to the back. So on the last one, it's because I was dividing. So anytime you're dividing, the bottom can't be 0. And the other time we have to restrict is with the square root, right? Because you can't have negative numbers underneath the square root. So really the rational and the absolute and the square root are the two we're going to watch, okay? So that's why I'm not doing this. This is x to the third and a line, so we're not getting any restrictions, right? That's all. So all real numbers, okay? What?
Basically, if it's a fraction or square root.
If it's a fraction or the square root, those are going to be your restrictions. Okay. Okay, let's do number 5. So on the cubic, is there any restriction? The cubic looks like this. And the cube root looks like that. So any restrictions on either one of those domains? No. So they're both all real numbers. So this time I'm going to start with g and put that in for x. So I'm going to get the cube root of x plus 4 raised to the third power minus 1. So what happens when you raise a cube root to the third power? It cancels, and what does it leave you? Oh, this was a hard one. X plus 3, and is there going to be any restrictions on the line? Nope. Yes. Look, I can't do it all. Play football, teach, hold the mum. I can't do it all. All right, so this time, we're going to take f, this one, and put it in for x. Okay, so this is all I can do. So if it's the cube root, so some of you are, can I take the cube root of x to the third plus 3? I can't. So the domain here is all real numbers. And I do want to go back on the front, on this. When I got this, 3 minus x over 4 minus x, why did I not cancel the x's out? Because right. Well, it's not the sign, but it's because I'm adding and subtracting. Right? When you're adding and subtracting, you can't cancel. If it looked like this, I'm multiplying, now I can cancel. But here, there's no multiplying. This is adding and subtracting, so you can't cancel. All right? Okay. Okay. We're almost done. So what's different about this example? So this time they give you a number, right? So take that 3 and put it in G to start. And then once you get that number, you go back and put it in the F. Yeah, we did it last year. So this is -8. The absolute value turns it +8. Okay, everybody try number 7. Just A. Try A. Jordan, I'm coming back to punch you. I'm not sure I can get down the aisle, but if I can get down the aisle, I'm going to punch you.
Wait, I gotta get the bottom too. Perfect. Like an inch from like.
It's bigger than I am.
Is it heavy?
It is. Well, actually, it's warm.
Oh, it's
Like-
a little light.
Yeah. Because I think it's cold in here, so it's warm. It feels good. Did you get an answer? Okay. So does it look funny? Then you're doing it right. Okay. So where do I go first? To the G. Joseph? I'm going to take the square root of 5 now, and I have to put it in the F. So just like the cube root raised to the third power, we said those canceled out. What happens with the square root raised to the square? And what does it leave you with? Okay. Okay, yeah, that's all. All right. So I'm going to do the last 4, and y'all listen, because this is not like a teach. You just have to pay attention and watch, and you're going to go, oh, I get it, okay? So here's what I have. I have h of x, and I want to find f of x and g of x. Okay? So the g is first, so the G gets stuck back in the F. All right? The G is first, so it gets stuck back in the F. Does everybody see that? The inside goes into the outside one. So if I look at this, what's the parent function here? The cubic. So I'm going to make the outside one the parent function. And so what do I have to stick back in there to get this equation? The 1 minus the 2x. what's the parent function on the next one? The cube root. So I'm going to make this the cube root of x. So I have to take this to plug it back in for x. So my g of x is x squared plus 1. Does everybody see? So there's just one little twist. What's the parent function on the last one? 1 over x. So if I put this as 1 over x, what I want to stick back in is the x plus 7. But what am I missing? I'm missing the 4, so I'm going to add it here and the negative 1. So the 4 and the negative 1 go with the parent function, and this is what I'm going to stick back in for x. You can't, if you put it here, you can't, you put this wherever you see an x. If I add the 4 and the minus 1, it doesn't come out right. Okay? So what am I going to make? The absolute value of x. So g of x is going to be what? But what's missing? So the minus 1/2 and the 3.